Class. This build was actually requested by a viewer trying to do a Blood Lance one. So here's the thing, you can do it, but it's very, very hard and won't do very well. So 2-piece bonus, Blood Rush gains the effect of every ruin. 4-piece, when at full life, your healing from skills is added to your maximum life for 45 seconds up to 100% more. 6-piece, your life spending abilities deal 3,800 increased damage, and your healing from skills is increased by 100%. This makes you very, very glass cannon. So with this particular build, we're going to be using mostly a full set, as you can see here, of Trag'Oul's avatar, but to help augment its power, we are using Captain Crimson. In case you need a brief overview, 6,000 life per second, reduces cooldown on all skills by 20%, reduces all resource costs by 20%. 3-piece bonus, damage dealt is increased by your percentage of cooldown reduction, damage take is reduced by your percentage of resource cost reduction. So it's in your benefit to prioritize optimizing that on your gear. Conventional elements for the ring, crisp and sentence for the ring as well. Jessus's shield and scythe. We're going to be using this 2-piece bonus. When the target of your command skeletons dies, your skeletons are automatically commanded to attack a nearby target. When your skeletons are commanded to attack a target, you deal 400% increased damage. This kind of helps a little bit in this build, not too much, so we're using that and the shield. This is just a placeholder. You want Lacumbi's ornament here instead. But this, in case you want to go Simulacrum route, you could do that. Haunted Visions, you're going to be using this as well. And that's pretty much all the gear for the skills. Command Skeletons, Dark Mending. We want Land of the Dead, Frozen Lands. We want Devour, Cannibalize. We want Blood Rush, Transfusion. We want Simulacrum, Reservoir. We want Corspe Lance, Blood Lance. This is where all our damage is going to be coming from, primarily, and we have to take advantage of windows. For the skill, our passives, Blood is Power, Overwhelming Essence, Final Service, Grizzly Tribute, In the Kanai's Cube, Mishramit's Reaver, so we can get a little bit more cooldown, Course Whispers, Pauldrons, and Ring of Royal Grandeur. Okay, for our Paragon, that's what we have. For the follower, I recommend a Broken Crown, Flavor of Time, Nemesis Bracer. Everything else is pretty much an afterthought. I am using the Sage set because I needed some Death Breaths before, and I didn't switch out. That's simply why that's there. Okay, so keep in mind that this armor will not perform, or this build, past Torment 13. I've experimented with it. It's just not really in your benefit to going further with it. So when you get into the Grey Rift, the first thing that you definitely need to do is you have to cast your Land of the Dead, Frozen Lance. From there, you want to automatically go into your Corspe Lance, firing off multiple Corspe Lances. Keep in mind that with the Blood Lance, you're going to be firing off an extra Blood Lance, which actually takes away from your actual life force because of the way we have it set up and because of how we're trying to take advantage of the really crappy 4- and 6-piece bonus of this set armor. Every once in a while, you are going to need to use your Devour to get back some of your life, as well as some of your essence, but it's very, very seldom that you're going to run into it. Now, one of the big weaknesses that you're going to see with this armor is trying to get back your Land of Dead on super fast cooldown. If you're having a hard time getting it back on cooldown because maybe there's not a lot of good enemy placements, which is what this armor really needs, is a lot of good density to be able to do well and constantly get back into Land of the Dead. What you want to do is you're going to use your ability to teleport to create a corpse, then you'll fire off a Blood Lance that way, or you try to consume some essence that way. In my experience playtesting with this armor and this particular build, I would say that it's probably in your benefit to just try not to use the Devour so much unless it's like absolutely necessary and you're running out of a lot of essence. Like, case in point here, I could use it. We're going to back away. We're going to go Land of the Dead. We're going to fire off a whole bunch of Corspe Lances. Another big issue with this particular armor is because it's a glass cannon, because you're actually burning for your life to power up your spears, is the fact that you are very, very squishy and you can take a lot of unnecessary deaths, particularly from AoE effect and everything of the sort. Now, in terms of optimization, what would you want to be doing with this armor? Well, first and foremost, I would say it's in your benefit because we are using Captain Crimson to get cooldown reduction 8.0% wherever possible. The more cooldown reduction you have on this armor, the stronger that you're going to be, which will perhaps allow you to maybe clear an extra 5 greater with this particular armor. This is like an F-tier armor, but I did want to get our viewers and users who have been requesting it a bit of a build so they could kind of see what they're working with. Subsequently, then from there, what you would want to also prioritize is obviously resource cost reduction 8.0% or higher, wherever you can on the gear. The reason for that is the more resource cost reduction that you have, the more tanky, so to speak. Not really tanky, but the less damage that you will take, which can come in kind of handy from you taking necessarily a unnecessary death. Further optimization, obviously, since we're using Corspe Lance, it is in your benefit to power up Corspe Lance 15% wherever possible. On top of that, maybe you want to power up the Command Skeletons, but they don't really do a whole bunch of source of damage here. If anything, they're just there to help you get a little bit of your cooldown reduction a bit faster. In terms of Earth stats that you should probably optimize on your gear, first and foremost, crit hit chance 6.0% on your helm. On your glove, I recommend these three stats. Crit hit chance 6.0%, crit hit damage 50%, and at least an attack speed of 8.0%. Those free stats on your gloves will give you a little bit extra power, which should help you climb at least another 5 to 10 greater risks with this particular armor. Usually I'd say 10 to 15, but this armor is incredibly weak. Its set bonuses really don't give you a whole much to work with. So that's basically pretty much what puts you at the limitations with this. Further optimization, obviously, because this is the Necromancer class, you want to maximize your intelligence on all pieces of your gear, so you want to get the max rolls of intelligence wherever possible. Area of effect you don't really need for this particular armor. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, although if you could get it, sure, why not? But I do not believe that the Corspe Lance is considered area of effect damage, because it's not going off in a wide area, at least to my knowledge. But, you know, that might be different. So, if you can fit it, maybe put it in there just in case. But, really, you just want to focus on the, you know, crit hit damage, because Necromancers in particular are desperately need that type of thing for their gear. Now, in terms of optimization, obviously, you would want all pieces of your gear, Ancient Legendary or Primal Ancient Legendary. Ancient Legendary is with the gold border. Primal Ancient Legendary is with the red border. Then you would want to take the Ancient Legendary or Primal Ancient Legendary into the Knight's Cube and augment it with a Legendary Gem. With the recipe, my recommendation is that you use Legendary Gems that are at least level 80, preferably. However, the recommendation is if you can get it higher, anywhere between 110 to 130, it will work in your benefit. Now, for Primal Ancient Legendaries, the red border gear, in order to be able to even see those drop, if you're playing non-seasonal character, any non-seasonal character that clears a Greater Rift of level 70 solo will have access to Primal Ancient Legendaries dropping. Now, if you're playing a seasonal character, your seasonal character obviously must clear a Greater Rift 70 solo in seasonal to have access to Primal Ancient Legendaries to drop. Keep in mind that Primal Ancient Legendaries are rare. It's like a 2.0% drop rate, and they are not really guaranteed to be the gear exactly you want. So you could be farming for a while and a while trying to get good gear in that retrospect. Before I move on with what our optimization, let's see our clear time here. I'm just going to do 2 Greater Rift 60s Torment 13, because after that, this armor can't do well. So Torment 13, 4 minutes and 56 second clear time. Greater Rift 70, it already is starting to struggle at Torment 15. So this can only go to Torment 13. It has the same problem like the Pestilence Corspe Lance build as well. Alright, same strategy as before. You want to cast your Land of the Dead. Then you want to fire off as many of your Bone Spears or your Corspe Lances as possible. Keep in mind that it works in your benefit to attack a lot of targets on screen with your Corspe Lance, so you may want to kind of time out your Land of the Dead, because if not, what ends up happening, case in point, this happened to me here, is that you run into a situation where you don't have a lot of targets that you can attack, and you can't build up your cooldown really fast. In terms of further optimization with this armor, first and foremost, you need a Go Aqua Swiftness as your legendary gem, because you need every little bit of cooldown that you could potentially get on this build. Subsequently, from there, you need a Bane of the Stricken and a Bane of the Trap. Those 2 gems in conjunction with Go Aqua Swiftness are pretty much the only way you can go with this build just to get it to be workable in Torment 13 and under. Other than that, pretty much that's all there is really in terms of this armor. It's really a matter of trying to learn the damage rotations and getting very lucky with the dungeon layouts as well, because you need a good dungeon layout for this armor to work. If you have a dungeon layout in particular, like this one is not particularly great, where there's a lot of twists and turns and a lot of corridors, you can't really effectively get a lot of mobs area. This does better definitely in open map areas as opposed to these corridors where maybe we're not seeing enough enemies. Case in point, also, we're kind of having our Bone Spears, or not our Bone Spears, but our Corspe Lance is being blocked by a lot of the walls and everything of the sort. So we're not able to maximize the amount of damage we're doing, nor are we able to take advantage of getting back our cooldown super fast. So keep that in mind with this particular armor. Now, if you're playing Necromancer for this particular season of Diablo 3, I believe your set armor, if I remember correctly, was the... Which one was it, actually? That's a good question now. I've honestly forgot. It's been so long. But I believe it was not Trag'Oul's avatar. Oh, it was Masquerade of the Burning Carnival. So that was your set armor, which is a much, much better armor to perform with in Season 26. So I definitely would recommend checking that out. Now, if you want to play Corspe Lance, and I would not recommend the Trag'Oul version. As you can see here, it kind of struggles a bit more. Pestilence Corspe Lance, which I have covered already. Actually, Pestilence Corspe Lance, what am I saying, was the starter set for Season 26 of Diablo 3. That particular armor performs way much better because although it still kind of relies on the cooldown and the damage rotations and everything of the sort, it could get back its essence much quicker. And it does a way more damage from its Corspe Lances because of just its natural set bonuses that it gets from the 4 and the 6-piece bonus. So I would recommend going with Pestilence Corspe Lance over Blood Lance Trag'Oul's avatar. Now there's another build for Trag'Oul's avatar using skeletal mages and everything of the sort. I have covered that in the past. I don't feel the need to cover that again here in Season 26 of Diablo 3 unless people are really interested in me covering it. It's a very slow and steady wins the race, but it doesn't allows you to attack your targets at all times, basically, as opposed to this build where you're kind of trying to struggle and just get through things and waiting for cooldown rotations. Now, in terms of Diablo Season 26 as well, naturally, an armor of this nature is not going to do well on the tier list, so this is an F-tier armor by all intents and purposes. In terms of Echoing Nightmare, the new endgame event, or that's in Diablo 3 Season 26, which will also be a permanent endgame event in going forward in Diablo 3, which I think is really cool. This armor particularly can't perform well in it again because it's relying on damage rotations again, where you're getting your cooldown very fast. Echoing Nightmare, you're fighting waves and waves and waves and waves and waves of enemies to the point that the more waves of enemies that you fight, the more you're going to get overwhelmed. There's going to be a lot of AoE effects going off, and as you can see, again, with this armor, if your cooldown doesn't come back very fast, you're stuck in a situation where you cannot attack targets. So this would not work at all, really, with Echoing Nightmares, which, again, lowers its viability even more. In terms of tiers, we're talking. Any armor you can kind of use, but whether you're going to be successful with it or not is a debatable question. As you can see, if it's struggling in Tournament 13, it's not really going to be able to do Echoing Nightmares 150 and everything of the sort. Now, keep in mind, as I've mentioned many times on the channel before, we recently started a Twitch channel. I'm already a Twitch affiliate over there. From time to time, we will play Diablo 3, Diablo 2. We just recently started playing Diablo Immortal upon launch of there. So we've been covering that on our Twitch stream as well. So if you're not already following us on Twitch and you do like my Diablo content and maybe you like some of my other content as well, definitely make sure to give us a follow on Twitch TV/Dreadscape Gaming. We do stream every day. Again, it's not always Diablo content because of Diablo Immortal, however, as well as just certain things getting to the end of Diablo 3 season, and even eventually I'm going to revisit Diablo 2. We have been covering a little bit more Diablo content in recent days, so definitely make sure to check all those things out. Definitely Twitch TV/Dreadscape Game. We're getting very close to the end of the Greater Rift here, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to conserve our Land of the Dead for area. Oh, pylon. So we're going to touch the pylon. This should push us, hopefully, over the edge with this. So we should be able to get to the Rift Garden, hopefully, here, if we have enough enemies, which we do. Okay, we still have some Corspe Lances, I hope, so we're going to fire them off and it should one-shot the enemy, which we do thanks to Corpse Whisperer's Pauldrons. And that's pretty much what it is to it when it comes to Trag'Oul's avatar, Blood Lance. It's not strong, it's not powerful, it's an F-tier armor. Torment 13 and under, it's going to do just fine. You can invest in more optimization to push it further. This is going to cap out probably at like a Greater Rift 110, 120 with full optimization. There's just better options Pestilence Corspe Lance does everything this build does, but better, because it can take advantage of its 4 and 6 piece bonus. Case in point, like 6 minutes clear time on Tournament 13, and we're kind of optimized and everything to sort for this build. So take that into consideration. I would recommend Pestilence over that. But I did do it because it was a viewer request, and I like to give the viewers what they want. Anyway, with that being said, that's going to do it for today's Diablo 3 video. As always, a like on this video is greatly appreciated. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, definitely consider doing so, as it helps the channel grow. And I'll see you for the next Diablo 3 video. And don't forget to follow us on Twitch.